Hi everyone, welcome. We are going to go ahead and get started. This is the HMIS user meeting for April. Thank you for being here. I know everybody is super busy. If you haven't already, please enter your agency name into the chat box so that we know who is participating. And we are going to go ahead and get started. So this is our agenda. We actually have a lot to discuss today. We're going to talk about user account management a little bit, check in with you on your current working conditions. Let me see if I can stop that noise. The answer is no. All right, I can't find it. We're going to keep going. So we're going to give you an update on the HIC and PITs. We are going to do a monthly training webinar that we want to talk to you about. We also want to talk to you about the emergency shelter project performance reports. We are happy to have Families Forward doing a presentation today on how they're using their HMIS data to track their goals. We also want to talk to you about scheduling annual assessment reminders, verbal consent in the time of COVID-19. We're going to talk to you about rapid rehousing project performance reports. We have some new coordinated entry knowledge-based articles that we're releasing, as well as the data elements and reporting guide. And then we are going to do a quick demo on tracking services by geolocation. All right, so first up, user account cleanup. So we have multiple new projects that are going to be coming online within the next week due to COVID-19. And these agencies are going to need some HMIS licenses to track that data. We only have a few licenses available in HMIS right now. So in order to minimize costs of these new licenses, we're going to be asking each agency to review their active users in HMIS right now and let us know if any of those users can be deactivated because they don't need to be using HMIS or no longer need access. So you should be receiving an email today with a list of your active users. So please review that and then enter a ticket with the help desk if any of the users on that list can be deactivated, just to try to support each other as much as possible and limit costs for everybody during this crisis. Any questions so far? No. Okay. Next up, let me find Adriana.
Can you hear me?
Adriana?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Well, first of all, we hope everybody's healthy and safe, as well as everybody at your agencies and the clients at your projects. The HMIS team has been working remotely from home for 2.5 weeks, but we're fully available for you guys. So the HMIS help desk is operating as usual, so you guys can still call the help desk and enter tickets as normal. We sent this information in an email a couple of weeks ago, but just in case you missed that, this is a reminder. So now that we have given you an update on our current working conditions, we're wondering about your working current conditions. So we have a couple of questions for you guys. Erin, is it possible to launch the first poll, please? So the first question is, where are you currently working from? Are you working remotely from home as the HMIS team, or are you working at the office and the shelter as usual? And the second question for you is your agency having any issues of staff members being unable to work during this crisis? So can you please answer those? So a couple of minutes to do that, please.
Also, while you guys are doing this, I found the chime thing, so that's no longer an issue. Okay, so we've gotten results from 55% of you so far. So we'll give it a few more seconds. If you haven't already put in your answer, please do so now.
Thank you, Angie, for sharing. Does anybody want to share how their agency is addressing the crisis, or how are you guys working? Do you have any comments that you would like to share with all of us? Okay, thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Erin.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and close the poll. And I think I'm sharing the results with everybody now.
You are, thank you.
So the majority of you, 70%, are working remotely from home, which is a good thing. I'm glad that most of you are able to stay safe. And 30% are working in the office or shelter, which thank you for being out there and helping those that are in need still, since that need hasn't changed. And then, is your agency having issues with staff members being unable to work? 83% of you said no, so that's great also. And then we've gotten some feedback in the chat that some people are doing staggered hours. And then Families Forward is operating a drive-through food pantry 10 to 2 Monday through Friday. That's great, in case any of you didn't know and have clients that need some food. Mercy House, we're allowing folks to work from home, but shelters are still fully operational. And our housing programs are doing what they are comfortable with. Cool. Families Forward, all of our programs are up and running with work being done to update all of our processes digitally. OC Gateway, remote case managing for 2 weeks via email and phone. That's interesting. How's it going, Jessica? Are the clients comfortable with it, or is it kind of rough? It's challenging. I'm sure that's true. Hang in there. Family Assistance Ministries, drive-through food pantry 10 to 3 every day, and virtual case management. That's great. Thanks, Lisa. All right, cool. So if you guys want to keep sharing, feel free, but I'm going to close the poll. And Adriana, you want to keep going?
Yes. Can you please move forward a slide? Well, thank you everybody for participating, and thank you again, as Erin said, for all the work you do for our community. We really appreciate it. So now let's talk about HIC and PIT. We have finalized the reviewing process for more than half of the projects now, but we're still working on completing the process with some of the agencies. And well, given the circumstances, this process has slowed down. But the good news is that HUD has postponed the deadline for the final submission to June. So that gives us a little bit of wiggle room. So for those of you who still have to work in corrections, we understand that some of you might not have the chance to do that. Well, given that there are other more urgent matters to attend, so we are aware of that. But if you have the time, please keep working on the corrections. We're here to support you. And as always, if there's anything we can do to help, please let us know. And other than that, thank you so much for your work in this process. As I already said before, we really appreciate it. I know it has been long, and it's going to be even longer with all of this crisis, but I really appreciate all of you guys have done for this process. Do you have any questions so far?
I'm not seeing anything.
Okay, so the monthly training webinar. So at the end of this month, we're going to host an HMIS training webinar. So this is for brand new users who want to brush up on the Part 2 HMIS training. This webinar is not going to be required and is not going to replace the HMIS Part 2 training either. So it is just going to be a supplemental training that we thought could be useful for the brand new users at your agency. The training will be on Thursday, April 23rd at 10 a.m. And users don't need to register or RSVP. We're just going to send the link to the training in the minutes of this meeting. So please share this information with all the new users at your agency who might be interested in further training. Do you have any questions in this regard?
And just to add, like Adriana said, it is to supplement the Part 2 training that users already have to do. So ideally, it would make sense for them to have done the Part 2 training first and then review this webinar as to kind of refresh them and give a little more detail on what they already learned. And so we wanted to try this as another training method. And then probably in May, we'll ask for your feedback on if this webinar is something that we should continue doing on a monthly basis to help with the training load. Think about that as if you go and are on the webinar, think about that and let us know in either during that webinar or at the May user meeting what you think about it and if it's something we should keep doing. All right, I'm not seeing any questions on that.
Okay, so emergency shelter PPR. So emergency shelter providers should have received correction spreadsheet for the project performance reports that we were planning to present at the May data meeting. And the due date for these corrections was yesterday. But given the circumstances, we're not sure if you guys had the chance to work on those corrections or if you had the chance even to open the spreadsheet. And it would not be fair from us to present data that you guys did not have a chance to review. So in that regard, we have some questions from you regarding project performance reports. So the first one is, were you able to complete corrections in HMIS for the emergency shelter project performance report? So this is just for emergency shelters providers. The second question is, do you have the capacity to continue making PPR corrections under COVID-19 circumstances? The third question is, should we postpone the release of project performance report until COVID-19 crisis has been stabilized? And the final question is, do you feel comfortable using Dropbox to receive data corrections? So please take a few minutes to answer these questions, or a couple of minutes to answer those questions. And if you have any other comments, please share those in the chat as well.
So far, we've only gotten 4 responses for these questions, so please take a moment if you can to complete them. It's really helpful for us to have your feedback, especially with the altered working conditions that most or all of you are working in. So it'd be really helpful for us to know what makes sense for your agency. We don't want to add an additional burden to you if you don't have time for that right now, but we do also want to help where we can and keep things as normal as possible if we can. So please take a minute and answer these questions.
I think I was not clear in something. The first question is just for emergency shelter providers, but the second, third, and fourth question is for everybody, because we're talking about the PPRs as a whole. So I apologize if I wasn't clear in that.
We got feedback, Adriana, that you're unable to complete the other questions unless you do the first one.
Sorry about that.
So maybe answer yes, because we know where we're at right now with the first one. It's 50% for both. So answer yes to the first one if you need to answer that question to move forward. And then you'll be able to answer the remaining questions.
Thank you, Juanita, for the feedback. We didn't know that feature. We're still just experimenting with polls, so thank you so much. Thank you, Brittany, as well.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and end the poll. All right, so we did get limited results, but like I said before, we got a few more responses. The first question, were you able to complete the corrections for emergency shelter? It was 50-50 at the time. And then, do you have the capacity to continue making corrections under COVID-19? 69% said yes. But 77% said we should postpone the release of project performance reports until COVID-19 has stabilized. I'm interested to know why those percentages aren't the same. If you do have the capacity or don't have the capacity, why would you want to move forward with the project performance reports? So if anybody wants to put in the chat, that would be helpful. And then everybody said that they would feel comfortable using Dropbox to receive data corrections, which is exciting because that'll help with limiting what we're doing now, which is sending links through HMIS. So that's exciting. We can work on that. I got a comment saying that working from home is a lot slower and frustrating. Word to that. Yeah, I agree. So the feedback is that we should postpone the release of project performance reports. Yeah, I don't feel great about it, but I understand why everybody wants to postpone them. So I think oh, hold on. Rose says, one of the things that Families Forward is experiencing is that our files are housed in the office, so it's difficult to review files in order to make corrections. Okay, that makes sense. So maybe we'll postpone for now and see how the next month goes. And then if things are improving by the May user meeting, we can bring it up again. And if they're not, then we'll just postpone. So to clarify, this would be for the emergency shelter PPRs, as well as any PPRs that were scheduled to occur following that. So we can keep in contact with everybody and kind of figure this out as COVID-19 moves forward. And then in a minute, Myral will have an update on the rapid rehousing PPR. So thank you guys for your participation. That is really helpful for us. So anything else on this one, Adriana?
No, that would be it. Thank you again, as Erin said. We appreciate your feedback.
Okay. All right, so now we have a presentation by Families Forward. Let me first pass it on to Casey, if I can find her. Casey? All right, Casey?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So today, Rose and Isis are going to give us a short presentation on how Families Forward uses Looker and HMIS data to track their goals related to each of their contracts and outcomes for each contract throughout the funding cycle. It's super cool, and I hope it's helpful for everyone. So they're going to review the reports that they've created, and if you're interested, we can assist you in trying to set up something similar for your agency. So any questions you have, either put them in the chat, or you can open a ticket with the HMIS help desk after the meeting. And if your agency uses HMIS data in a unique way that you think could benefit other agencies to learn about, please also get in touch with us either in the chat or by submitting a ticket to the help desk. And
okay,
then,
so,
Erin,
oh, go ahead.
Oh no, sorry, I was just gonna ask if you can unmute Rose, and she wanted to share her screen.
Yeah, so Rose and Isis, you're both unmuted, and you can, either of you can share your screen.
Okay, I just shared my screen. Can everyone see the Word document?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So, hi, good morning, everyone. As Casey said, we wanted to share a little bit about what our process is for a monthly meeting that we have called a grant tracking meeting. And we've kind of done a little step-by-step here on what we do. And then Isis is here too, and I'm gonna let her get into some more of the details because she created all of our Looker. She's the master at our agency of Looker. I still don't exactly know how to do all the details, but Isis is our pro. So in order to make sure that we're able to meet our goals, not only for the funding, amount spent, the families that we need to serve, we host a monthly meeting with directors, program managers, lead case management and housing resource specialists, and the data team in order to make sure that we are all on the same page in terms of what our monthly goals are we meeting those goals, and how are we obtaining the information from HMIS to make sure that we're on track. So I'll go ahead and pass it over to Isis to kind of go over some of the reports she's created and how we outline those in that meeting so that everyone can get away from that meeting with the same goals in mind and the same understanding of where we're at. So Isis?
Yeah, so like Rose said, what we do on a monthly basis is we all get together and we have a grant tracking meeting. We look at each of our grants and we look at some key pieces of information. So something that we focus on is system performance measures. And those would be average days to permanent housing and length of stay. So in the chart down here, you can see what our average number of days is for each grant. It's something that we like to look at on a monthly basis just to make sure that we're on track. It helps us figure out whether there's any particular grant that we need to work on. And then we also look at housing move-in dates. One of the things that we use this for is to help us determine how many opportunities we can open up each week. So depending on the number of move-ins that we've had in the previous months and what our goal is, it'll help us determine how many more we need on a monthly basis per grant. And that's how we determine how many housing opportunities we will open up in a given week. If you scroll down, this is just a chart with our financials, and maybe Rose can give a little background on that.
Yeah, so for as well as our numbers, we also use our internal financial tracking system to make sure that we are on track to meet our rental assistance goals as well. That way we're able to make sure by the end of the contract, we have expended all of the funds that we had available to us for the grant. And then this allows us to then understand where we need to, reallocate perhaps some housing opportunities that we entered. Have we met the goal? Have we spent down the money? And it just kind of helps us stay informed month after month to have kind of an even achievement of the goals versus, trying to front load it or back load it. It helps us spread out our goal attainment that way.
And then aside from that grant tracking report that we use, we also have these smaller reports that we've put together to look at more on a weekly basis. So our case managers and our housing resource specialists get together and do kind of a case conferencing meeting. And for those meetings, we'll put together a rental assistance report and a pending families report. So essentially for the rental assistance report, we're looking at how many families have been assisted for 6 months or more. And really this is just to bring forward any families that have been in our programs for a long period of time. That way the case managers and the resource specialists and career coaches, anyone else who is working with that family can really look at whether they're ready to exit the program, and if they're not, what's holding them back and what can we do to get them ready to exit. And then our pending families report is really just looking at how many families are still looking for housing, how long they've been looking for housing, and our case managers and resource specialists use this report to brainstorm some strategies to help families identify something to move into. So, you know, sometimes our case managers and resource specialists are overwhelmed with their caseload. And so bringing this to that big case conference meeting, it really helps anyone else on the team bring up some ideas that maybe the assigned case manager hadn't thought about. So it's really helpful for that. Our biggest report that we have created in HMIS is our QPR data elements report. And it really just gives us every piece of information that we've entered into HMIS for each client, demographics, program dates, destinations, if they've exited, all of that that we would need to report to either our CDBG funders or even anything that we report for our agency metrics. And then lastly, we've created a HEAP report, which just gives us a number of services that we've provided, dollar amounts, and then some quick pieces of demographics for each family. And something that we've liked from the reports that are already available in HMIS is the pending households matched to housing opportunities report. And it really just gives us a look at a bit of the history of each family from the day that they were matched to the day that we connected with them and enrolled them into our projects. So we've really liked this new HMIS system, being able to use Clarity to create our own reports and taking full advantage of Looker and the trainings. I think it was Elizabeth that did the trainings on YouTube. So we really use those, and definitely these reports are a work in progress, and we've learned to make them better every time we use them, but it's been really helpful.
Yeah, so just overall, we're really looking to make sure that we're looking at all of our details regularly through HMIS. At this grant tracking meeting, we'll also pull up the published system performance measures from time to time to just see where we're at and what areas we need to focus. And then because we have different levels of staff at that meeting, this information as a whole is able to then be taken up at the higher level of our organization to make informed decisions on resources, where resources are being allocated, what processes we need to improve on, what processes are we doing really well on. So it's overall just a really great way to help all of us stay informed. And that's all we really have to share, unless there's any questions.
I did get one. Can we request the document that's being shared to review? Are you okay with that? Family
Yeah,
Forward?
absolutely. Yeah, yes.
Okay, so if you haven't already sent it to Casey, can you do that? And then we can include it in the meeting minutes, please.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Okay. Any other questions for Rosalinda or Isis? And Casey, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, just again to ask everyone if you have anything that you think might be helpful to other agencies, to definitely get in contact with us so we can discuss. Or if you're interested in creating your own types of Looker reports like the ones Rose described, we can help you with that too.
Thank you guys for sharing. I think it was really helpful.
No problem, thank you.
And if you guys have anything else you want to share it too, we can just keep doing Families Forward presentations.
Yeah. The Families Forward syndicated column.
Thanks. We will keep you posted.
All right, so can you stop sharing your screen? Okay, cool. All right.
Okay, so this morning, if you're an agency administrator, you should have received an email titled Annual Assessment Due - Scheduled, unless your agency had no enrollments with annual assessments that are upcoming or past due, in which case you would not have gotten that email. The email contains a report that has information about annual assessments that are currently within the plus or minus 30-day window of the Head of Households project enrollment anniversary. It also has annual assessments that are past due, which means that window has passed and an annual assessment has not been completed in HMIS. And it also includes annual assessments that were completed outside of the window, which means that they will not be counted as annual assessments on other reports such as the APR. So this report is essentially the same thing as the annual assessment due report that you already have in HMIS. The difference is there are no names that were emailed to you since it was sent over email. And this report will be sent on the 1st of each month moving forward to help you plan your annual assessment data collection for the month. And we hope this helps you stay on top of your annual assessments. So if you have any questions or suggestions about the report, let us know in the chat box or submit a ticket. And yeah, just look forward to that every month.
All right, I'm not seeing any questions.
Okay. So next, because of the ongoing coronavirus crisis, we have turned on the verbal consent dropdown on the release of information page in HMIS to encourage social distancing if you're unable to complete electronic or physical versions of the consent to share protected personal information form with clients right now. The verbal consent option, however, is not a permanent replacement for documented client consent. So we've also created a report that will allow you to keep track of which clients have given you verbal consent to share their information in HMIS. So you can make sure to complete an actual form with them later whenever it's safe for your agency. So the report is on the data analysis tab in HMIS. It contains clients' names, their unique identifier, the personal identifier, which can, if you're in HMIS, you can click on it to be taken directly to the client's profile. And it also includes clients' global household information. So if you look closely on this screenshot, you'll see the first row, the global head of household and the global household ID are blank. And this is because this client does not have any other clients in their global household. The global household is set up on the client's profile page and is not tied to enrollments. So if a client is a single person, they're not going to have anyone else in their global household. What else? Oh, we wrote a new knowledge-based article that explains verbal consent policy and detailed instructions on how to run the report. And we'll send that out with all of the other HMIS user meeting materials by the end of the week. And if you want to see it now, you can go to the HMIS help desk and type verbal consent into the search bar.
And I don't know if I missed it, but when you run the report, you might have already said this, but make sure you put your agency name in the dropdown and then before you click run.
Yeah, there's a note when you click on the report, there will be a note reminding you to put your agency information, I'm sorry, your agency name in the field. Otherwise, you'll see everyone's data and then you'll just be overwhelmed.
All right, I'm not seeing any questions. Myra?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome. So good morning, everyone. As you might already be aware, we will be canceling April's data and performance meeting, but we will still be posting the Rapid Rehousing Project Performance Report. And we'll be posting that to the website on April 9th, since that's the day that we would have shared it with everyone, since that was going to be the day of the meeting.
And we're moving forward with publishing this report because the corrections were due prior to the COVID-19 stuff. So the report should be accurate based on the corrections you've made. And It is likely that this rapid rehousing report will be used as part of the NOFA ranking process for those of you that get COC funded rapid rehousing dollars. So keep that in mind also. All right.
We have also been working on updating and reorganizing our CES knowledge base articles, and they're currently being finalized. So as of right now, we have these 3 that are going to, sorry, I have a call coming in. Let me go back. We are currently finalizing these 3 articles that will be published. So it is a family coordinated entry for case manager, family coordinated entry for matchmakers, and coordinated entry for housing agencies. We've reorganized how they are currently listed, so you'll be able to see, like for example, the family coordinated entry for case managers will specifically cover the referral tab overview, how to add and remove clients on the community queue, how to keep clients active on the queue and updating them as well, and how they can, how a case manager can run the community queue report so they can see where their families are when looking at the whole list. And then we also have the family coordinated entry for matchmakers, which will go over how to run the matchmaker dashboard, understanding the housing on the community queue report, how to get the available housing opportunity report, matching households, and for the coordinated entry for housing agencies, it reviews referral tab overview, how to add and edit housing opportunities, accepting referrals and denying referrals.
And the links,
so those links will,
articles will be in the meeting minutes that we send out. Is that what you were going to say, Myra?
Yeah.
All right. I'm not seeing any questions. Oh, and just to clarify, the articles say family coordinated entry right now because that's what's in HMIS, but we're going to be updating for the coordinated entry system as a whole when the individual coordinated entry systems start using HMIS also. Uh-oh.
That's not my slide. You want to skip one up?
What's happening? Is this what you wanted?
No, but we can just start there. Either way, it was just the name of the guide. But if you want to go to the OC HMIS website, that way you can show them where they are. Okay, so I know it's been a while since we last gave you all a new guide, but we've been working on this one for quite some time. So we just posted this guide as the one that you just saw right now. So if you can access it by going to HMIS Help dropdown, it's going to be the last one on that list, the HMIS Data Elements and Reporting Guide. So this guide, you can use this guide to gain a better understanding of how each data element affects system-wide reports and project-level reports. This guide is based on the 2020 HMIS data standards, and as you just saw, it can be found on our website. The first page, we list a breakdown of each project performance report goal, system performance measure. We also note the types of projects that are captured in each measure, along with the data elements that are used to calculate the performance. We also have included a section off to the right in the SPM. Sorry, go up a little bit. I want to show them the differences between the SPM and PPR goal, just because we understand that there tends to be some misunderstanding or confusion that these goals and measures may be the same. So you can scroll down, and then after that, we just jump into the previously mentioned data elements and explain what would be considered a data issue or concern for that element and how it could impact your project and performance. So we hope that this guide helps to clear up any confusion around data elements, or it can be used to kind of reiterate the importance of capturing complete data, or what would be considered not a good outcome.
All right. I'm not seeing any questions. Okay, there it is, Myra.
Oh.
All right. Linda?
Good morning, everyone. So the geolocation function for services is now available on Clarity. We just wanted to do a quick little demo so that your agency can start using this feature to track your services. I'm going to start sharing my screen. Okay, so to do this, you would need to go into your services and enable the geolocation
We would
under.
Linda, we would do
Huh?
that part for them.
Okay. So what you would do after that geolocation has been turned on the services that you would want to track, you would go into your client's profile page and link them to that service. So for this one, I would use case management, and then so you would link them to the service as you normally would, but then you would see the option to add a location. So three options you could do is that you can type in your address, or you can use your current location down here, or you can use a map to pinpoint a certain location to drop a pin. So once that, for this one, you have to zoom in a little bit further to get like a specific area, but you should be able to pinpoint a location on the map. So I'm gonna go ahead and add, and so it would show up as a geolocation right here. Make sure you save, and then you can double check that the location was saved by going into their history, and then it would be logged in right here. And then you can hover over the geolocation, this gray pinpoint right here, and then it would give you the exact location of where you pinpointed on the map. So if you guys can try out this function and let us know how it works for you. If you have any comments, questions, or concern, please reach out to us through the help desk or submit a ticket.
And we can add this functionality to any of your existing services if you would like. So if this is something that you're interested in, please enter a ticket with the HMIS help desk and we can enable it for you. All right, not seeing any questions. All right, so now we have some time for Q&A. If anybody has any questions that they would like to ask us, or if you have any demos you'd like to see really quick in HMIS, we can do that now. Also, while we're here, I wanted to let everybody know that on our website, we are posting on the homepage COVID-19 related items that we're getting from HUD or NAEH or other federal partners. So there are webinars and other links, resources available on our homepage. So if you just go to ochmis.org, You can see here there's a webinar series, there's resources, there's a planning and response webinar on Fridays. So feel free to check that out. And you may even want to keep coming back to our homepage every few days to see if we've added anything, because there's a lot of information coming out about COVID-19 right now, which I'm sure all of you are aware and have experienced, but this may consolidate it for you a little bit, so keep that in mind also. I'm not seeing any questions coming in. I'll give it a minute. All right, it looks like there's no questions from anyone, so we're gonna wrap up the webinar. Thanks everybody for attending. We will have the May user meeting scheduled for the 6th at 10 a.m. We will send out a meeting invite for that a week or two before, and then the meeting minutes for this meeting will go out sometime this week or early next week, and will include the slides as well as Families Forward document and the links that we mentioned about the KB articles. So thank you so much for attending. I know that you're all very busy. Thanks for making time for us, and we will talk to you soon. Have a good day.